Hello, welcome back. I'm certainly glad you could join us today. It's a fantastic day here, and I hope it is wherever you're at. So I tell you what, let's start out today and run all the colors across the screen that you need to paint along with us. While they're doing that, come on up here. Let me show you what we've got already. We've got our standard old pre-stretched canvas, and I use an 18 by 24, but you use any size that's convenient for you. We've covered the entire surface with a thin, even coat of liquid white, and that makes the canvas wet, slick, and it's all ready to go. So I hope you have your oil paints out and you're ready to spend a relaxing half hour. I thought today we'd just do a fantastic little scene that's very pretty and very easy, and we'll just have a good time together. Let's start out with a little alizarin crimson. Just a little, pull a little out and tap it into the 2-inch brush. And maybe we'll have a nice warm area in the sky of this little painting. So let's go right up in here. And just using our little crisscross strokes, just make little X's. Let it blend with the liquid white. Those colors will just soften and blend automatically. You don't have to worry about it. Use very little color here. We don't want to set this guy on fire. All I want to do is just create a little glow up here. Something about like that. Maybe we'll do some little mountains today. I like mountains, and that's the most single requested thing that people write in and say they'd like to see and do. So we'll do something. We'll take a little of the phthalo blue. Didn't even have to clean the brush because the crimson is so weak in comparison to the blue. The blue just eats it up. So we can start right up here, still making our little crisscross strokes, and just lay in a happy little sky. That's simple. There, just bring it about down to the crimson, and then we'll stop, clean the brush, and blend it. Otherwise, once again, this blue is so strong, it'll just consume your crimson. It'll go away and leave you. You'll be all alone here with just a blue sky. All right. Tell you what, while we have blue on the brush, let's put a little water in here. You know me, I love water. Take a little of the phthalo blue and reach right over here and I'll get a touch, just a touch of the phthalo green. It's very, very, very strong. Whew. Be careful with it. And maybe we'll go in here and we'll lay an indication of a little bit of water. Just pull from the outside in, as we normally do. I like to have a little glimmer of light coming across the water. There. Okay, now then a little bit more of the blue, a little more phthalo green in it. Come from the other side. Just sort of let these come together like that. All right. Now then, let's wash the old brush. If you've painted with me before, you know this is the fun part of this whole technique. This is where we really get crazy. Just odorless thinner, paint thinner, shake off the excess, and just beat the devil out of it. All right, let's go right up here where the blue and the pink come together. Now then, just want to continue to use the little crisscross strokes and begin blending that together. Something about like that. So you can't tell where one color stops and the next color starts. There we are. And down here, we'll just go all the way across. And that'll bring our water together. But we still have this indication of light zinging right across there. Just sliding across the water. All right. Tell you what, let's take an old 1-inch brush. I want to put some happy little clouds up here. Happy little clouds. And we'll just use a titanium white today, right on the old 1-inch brush. And maybe we have a little cloud that, yep, he lives right up here. He just floats around the sky and has a good time. Now all we're doing is just sort of tapping and hitting the canvas so you get those nice fluffy little edges. Just little fluffy edges. There. But sort of round, so it's got form and shape to it. There we are. And you can begin creating all kinds of little individual effects. Something like that. And we do one layer at a time. Just work on individual layers. Okay, if that's our first layer, take a good, clean, dry 2-inch brush and just barely blend it. We want to leave these nice top edges, but blend behind it a little bit. See there? Now, very lightly. Just lift it a little. And it creates a nice little floater up there in the sky. Let me show you something. I get carried away sometimes. I keep seeing things that we could do. Let's take a little alizarin crimson and phthalo blue and mix it together. So we have a little lavender-like color. Watch here. A little bit on the fan brush. Let's go right up here. Maybe in our world, right back in here, let's just have a few little clouds that they just sort of float around and have a good time. We just sort of call these floaters, for lack of a better word. Some of my friends who fly airplanes would probably tell me the correct name for these, but I just call them little floaters. They just hang around, have a good time. Very gently, go across. So it'll give us the indication of some little things that are floating way back in the distance. Now then, let's really get crazy. I'm gonna take, let's just put another big old cloud that lives right in here. And this one comes right down, right over the top of the little floaters that we laid in. And just sort of, maybe comes right out about like that. I don't know. In your world, you put clouds wherever you want them. Wherever you want them. There. This is probably one of the freest painting techniques I've ever been exposed to. It allows you to do anything that you want. Anything. There. Now then, once again, back to our 2-inch brush, and we'll blend that a little. Something about like that. Don't have to blend it a great deal, just enough to blend the base of it a little. And very lightly, lift it, fluff it, blend it, bring it together. But look at that. There's such a mass of clouds and there's so much depth in there. And that easy. There. Okay. Fantastic. I think we're in business. Just knocked the excess paint off that old brush. And we're going to have some mountains today, we decided. So let's take some black. We'll use a little Depression blue, some Van Dyke brown, alizarin crimson, whatever. Good dark color with sort of a blue base to it, blue or lavender base. Pull it out very flat, cut across, get our little roll of paint. Let's come right up in here, maybe right there. Just make a decision where you think the old mountains would live in your world. And decide where the peaks are and all the valleys. It's what makes painting so much fun, is you get to control your world. Oh, this is pure, raw power here. When I go home, all I can do is, the only power I have is over the garbage. That's mine. It waits for me, and I get to take it out. But on this canvas, I can do anything. I can move mountains, trees, can even move rivers here, and so can you. I spent half my life in the military, and I would play soldier all day. Then at night, I would come home, and this painting was a way of finding a world that was full of peace, and it was calm, and there was no bad things here. Okay, let's just take a 2-inch brush, pull that out, and let it just blend at the base. There, see how soft that base becomes? Just like so. Okay, just keep pulling it. This is also an excellent way to sort of lay out and shape your mountains, because you can see these brush strokes in here, and you're not committed. Sort of a way of cheating a little. It's not cheating, but it's a way of making it easier for you. There we are. No such thing as cheating in painting. If it works, if it makes you happy, then it's good. Then it's good. The only rule in painting is that there are no rules. It's an individual thing. Individual. And everybody sees nature through different eyes. And painting is a way of putting your expression on canvas. So enjoy it. Let's take some titanium white. Shoot, let's have some good fun today. Pull it out flat, cut across, get our little roll of paint as usual. Now we can go up in here and let's begin laying in some little highlights. Let that knife just sort of bounce and wiggle and jiggle. Just have fun. Think where little things would live, where you want little peaks and valleys. You need a little home for the mountain goats. Choom. There. There's all kind of little creatures that live up in here, and just have a good time. Okay. See? There. But Just let it flow. No pressure here. Absolutely no pressure. And in your mind, just think nothing's touching the canvas but that little roll of paint. The knife is not even touching. If you let the knife touch, then you, as Steve, my son, says, you mush the paint. That means you flatten it out and squish it. Steve and I have been known to make up words sometimes, so that's one that he's made up and uses. But people understand what he's saying when he teaches. And he travels all over the country teaching. God, he teaches literally thousands of people the joy of painting. There. So if he gets to your area, go see him, hassle him a little bit. He does a lot of demonstrations, and you'll find him to be a joy to be with. Okay, little of the phthalo blue and white. Little roll of paint on the knife. And let's just lay in the indication here and there of some little shadow areas. We don't want a whole bunch of color there, just where you think you'd be a happy little shadow living. There. Maybe right here. Choom, there he goes. Let's bring this one distinctly through. That'll push that first one back. Sneaky, huh? There. There we go. And just a little touch over in here. Now sometimes it's fun to come back after you've done this and let's break that up. But now you can see a shadow through there. And little things like that will make your painting special. But you need to put a shadow back here. Every highlight needs its own shadow. And if you don't give it its own shadow, it just won't play with you. It'll go home. Just go away. There we are. Now then, let's get a clean one. There we are. I've got so many brushes laying around here. We'll just take an old 2-inch brush and gently tap, following the angles in the mountain, as usual. Lift upward. Over here, we'll follow this angle, just to create the illusion of mist, right down here at the base. Very soft and very gentle. But that's a heck of a range of mountains to make in just a minute or two, and you can do it. You really can do it. Just practice a little bit, be sure you have the right paint, because it has to be firm. It really does. That's the one thing that I hear over and over when people say they're having trouble. We always nearly trace it back to the fact that their paint is thin, and you really have to have a very firm paint to be able to paint wet on wet or layer on top of layers. There we go. Let's take a little, we'll just use that mountain color. I've added a little Van Dyke brown, put a little white in it, a little touch of the sap green, not much, just a little. I want a little more of the white in there. A little bit more of the white. There, that's sort of a nice grayish brown color, quite pleasant. Okay, let me wipe the old knife. Let's grab us a fan brush. Okay, we'll just put a little of that color on the fan brush. And in our world, maybe there lives, boy there does now, just some happy little trees back in here. These little trees would be a super place for my little squirrel. If you've painted with me before, you know I have all kind of little creature pets. I'm going to share with you today my latest little squirrel that's living with me. He is the most precious little thing. You have to force him to eat, see? We call him Peapod the pocket squirrel, because he would live in your pocket forever. And one of my neighbors, a young man named Dennis, lives down the street from me, found him and brought him to me. And he lives with me now. I think I have 5 squirrels right now and 2 crows. And this little squirrel will be ready to turn loose here in just a few more weeks. And he'll go back to nature and he'll have a good time. And these things usually stay around the house when I turn them loose. And so I get to enjoy them sometime for years and years and years. There. But isn't he cute? Little, as I say, we call him Peapod the pocket squirrel. Okay, now we have just an indication back here of just some little trees that are living far back here in the distance. Sometimes, watch here, let's have some fun. Take a little of that same mountain color, maybe right in here, come right in here. There's just a little stone, or maybe a little part of the mountain that lives right in here. Watch there, just put that dark in, just like you did to make the big mountain up here. This is a baby mountain. If you take care of it, treat it well, It'll grow up and be a big mountain like its big brother right above it. Okay, back to our little bit of the white. I'm going to add the least little touch of Van Dyke brown in the white. I want to dull it down some down here. Just the least little touch, least little touch. Once again, least little touch, and just let this sort of play. Let that knife just bounce, though. I want this to look like rough places. Mean there. A little bit right in there. That's what my dog said when he set down the sandpaper. He said, rough. There. All right. There. Yeah, same thing. Just tap a little bit of mist right at the base of that. I don't want much. Maybe we'll have some big trees that live in the front of that, and that'll help push it back. You can also, I'm going to dull that same, take a little brown, phthalo blue and white, and make a little shadow color. But I want it duller than the one up high. Just put the indication here and there of a little shadow that lives back in there. I have to have a little shadow in there too. Now, let's clean this off a little spot. Even with a palette this big, I run out of room sometime. That's what happens when you paint with big brushes and big knives. Let's take some black, some Prussian blue. I'm gonna put some phthalo green in there, maybe a little brown and crimson. What the heck? Just a little bit of everything. Good dark color. Okay, let me wipe off the old knife. And I have several fan brushes going, so I'll grab another one. And on this one, we're going to put this very dark color. And let's put some little evergreens that live in our world. They live. I think they live right there. And this is the easiest way I've ever seen of making little trees that look like they're far, far away. Because you don't want too much detail. If you get too much detail, then you lose that illusion of distance. When things are far away, you don't see a lot of detail. You see changes in color or shape, but not a lot of detail. Maybe, tell you what, maybe we'll take a 1-inch brush. We'll just pop in a few bushes that live right here. Same color. A few little bushes live right out here in front of this. Like that. So you can just see that little stone that's just, it's peeking at you from behind those trees and stuff. I'm going to dip a 1-inch brush into liquid white. We'll go into a little cad yellow. Be right back. Get a little sap green. A little sap green, maybe a little darker. There we go. A little yellow ochre. And eventually I'll use the Indian yellow here, and pretty soon little touches of red, bright red. Now then, let's pick out our little trees and bushes that live back here. There's one. Just push sort of upward. Just give it a little upward push. This is one of many ways of making beautiful little bushes. Sometimes we use a little round brush. Oh, there's one that's got more Indian yellow and yellow ochre in it. So it's got a little different flavor. A little touch of the bright red right on the tip will make it look like there's flowers back here on these trees. That's sort of nice. Okay, now, let's have some fun. Let's grab the very bottom of that and pull straight down. Just straight down. I want a dark color down here. Very dark color. There. Okay. Right on down. Now then, tell you what, let's take a fan brush. I'm going to dip it into the liquid white and then go into titanium white and the least little touch of phthalo blue in it. Very little of the phthalo blue. I dipped it in the liquid white to make the paint thinner because a thin paint will slide right over the top of a very thick paint without mixing, or just mixing a little bit, depending on the amount of pressure that you put. Maybe there's a little waterfall that lives right up in there. And we'll just push in just some happy little things, and the water plays right along here. See there? Just let it play though, and maybe, bloop, maybe there's another little thing there. There's all kind of little stones and rocks under here that create little bumps and just places the water falls and carries on. And make up little stories and think about this just floating right down here. Choo. Make those little noises. That really helps. That really helps. That just sort of wanders right on out in there somewhere. Something like that. All right. let's take, oh, there it is. I lost my brush. When you get my age, the mind sort of slips away sometime. You have to go looking for it. Let's take a little bit more of the dark color on this brush. And I want to push that little waterfall way back into there. So we'll put the indication here of some more little trees that live back in the background. And all we're doing, just tapping downward. Just tapping downward. And don't let these become too symmetrical or just alike. Have different shapes here. Otherwise they'll begin looking, oh, they'll look like it just came out of a copy machine. Trees are different. They're not all straight, they're not all crooked. They're like people. They're individuals. That's what makes them so fantastic. As I say, it's like people. Can you imagine how boring the world would be if everybody was just alike? It's fun to have different people with different beliefs, different looks. That's what makes it interesting. And it's the same when you're doing paintings. Enjoy the differences. Maybe, tell you what, while we got that old brush going, yeah, stand back and take a look. In our world, there is now, a big bush that lives right here. Like that. And we're just pushing upward with this 1-inch brush, just to make all those little trees and stuff that live in there. There we are. Okay. Just drop those in. And at the same time, I'm going to reverse the brush and tap downward, and that'll end up, if all goes well, that'll end up being our little reflections in the water. Just like that. All right. Now we can take a 2-inch brush, and we grab those reflections, pull them straight down. Straight down. Don't let them go at an angle like that. Just won't look right. It'll bother your eye when you look at it. Same thing on the other side, and go across. And that easy, we have instant reflections. Now we can go back, take a little of the black, a little midnight black, and go into yellow. That makes a beautiful, beautiful green color. There, pull that brush in one direction, loading it full of color. Look at all the paint. Good, let's go up here. Now then, let's go back in here and begin picking out individual bushes and trees that hide back here. And I'll reload the brush continually and just change the flavor a little by adding a little of the yellow ochre, a little more green, or whatever it takes. Just so there's a little variation in color. There. Okay. Sometimes it's fun to put a little red out on the tip. As I mentioned earlier, and make those bushes that look like they have little red flowers hanging out here on them. There. On the other side, we can do the same thing when we have this old brush going. Add the least little touch of paint thinner to the paint. Make it a little thinner. Thin paint, once again, we'll stick to thicker paint. But if the thickest paint is on the brush, when you go to do this, it'll just pull the paint off the canvas onto your brush. So if you do this and you begin getting a lot of color off the canvas, check to be sure that the paint on your brush is thinner than the paint on the canvas. It's really all it amounts to. It's just a difference in thickness of paint. There we go. And maybe right there lives another one. Work in layers, always completing the most distant one first and coming forward, forward, forward. Now, maybe, let's take some Van Dyke Brown, get crazy. Maybe in our world there's a nice little stone that lives right in here, and this is going to be the bank. It's got to be a place to hold all this nice greenery up so it doesn't fall over in the water and make a big splash. Might be a little beaver or something lives here. It'd scare him to death. We don't want to do that. Hope you enjoy seeing my little creatures. I am so crazy about some of these little rascals. I have one that we call Squirrely Girly Brown, and she's a mess. Well, that little squirrel's something else. She's just about ready to turn loose. She's full grown now. She's been with me for, I guess 8 or 9 months. She is something else. And she hides nuts all over my house. The other day I went fishing with a friend, and I went to put on my fishing shoes, and there was a pecan in the toe. You You ever put your shoe on and somebody's put something in the end of it? Certainly get your attention. Let's take a little white, a little bit of the dark sienna. Let's just go up here and just touch and bounce. And we're just going to put the indication of some nice little things that are happening right along in here. But leave a dark area underneath, and I'll show you why in a minute. Let's do the other side while we got this going. Leave a dark area underneath because we want this to be deep, have height to it. Okay, wipe the knife, then we'll grab just the base of that and pull a little tiny bit of that color down using the small edge of the knife. Or sometimes I just use a small knife, depending on how you feel at that moment. But it'll create the illusion that this is thick. It's not just coming out there. And you sort of change the angles now and then. Something like so. Take a little touch of the liquid white, lay it out here. I'm going to get a fan brush, put a little of that on it. That's just liquid white on the fan brush. And just go in here and just put the indication of just some little things right in here. Not much. A little bit on the other side. There we are. Tell you what, we got just a second left here. Put in a happy little tree. This drives my director crazy when we do this, but we'll do it anyway. She's mean. She'll be out here and get me in a second. Just drop in a happy little tree. We'll give him a little friend right there. Coming back with a little that same dark color we used to make the, and we just pop in, maybe this is a big evergreen, pop in the indication of a few little limbs and stuff that hang right out like that. And this little tree needs some too. There we go. Very simple way of making some very effective little trees. Pick up a little yellow, it'll turn green, and we can highlight that a little. And the old clock on the wall tells me that it's about time to leave you for today. I really hope you've enjoyed this one. It's a lot of fun. It'll teach you how to use all the equipment. And I think you'll be amazed at what you can do. And from all of us here, happy painting, and God bless, my friend.